they have this interaction and then this feedback. When these students come to have attachments and the internship, then they send them these feedbacks. Then they can know how they can tweak their curricula to match industry trends. So it's very important. With their curricula, it's not easily changed. Okay, you could have a curricula running for almost 5 to 10 years and it's the same thing. But every single day, things are changing. Even when you graduate from the university today, what you know today may be obsolete. And that is the world we find ourselves in. So we need a lot of that collaboration. We should engage industry. Let's have that rapport, okay, for industry to benefit from the fresh skills and knowledge of academia, and then academia getting same. On the challenges, one of the challenges I would say is availability of space. For instance, if you have a company employing, let's say 20 people with 3 top engineers, and then you have a university graduating over 100 students of engineers, and they are all looking to working in such a company, then it becomes a challenge. Okay, so availability of space is also one key challenge, and that is why we expect the students to be broad-minded. Okay, the fact that you graduate with, let's say, a BSc electrical engineering does not mean that not divert a little and be doing something on probably electronics or something, because those jobs may not actually exist. Even if it exists, we don't have enough numbers. So we have to be versatile. We have to reorient our thinking. Not that you came out with A, so you are looking for a job in A. It doesn't work that way. That's the little I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please let's give him a round of applause. I believe I saw Mr. raising his microphone. I think he has a little contribution to give. So let's hear him out.
Okay, thank you very much. So I won't say challenges. I would say it's very important, as we already discussed, for a good collaboration. There's no, for us, we will try to ensure that interns or anyone who comes through the plant is trained well. So the key issue will be more or less impacting our culture on that person. So, for example, if you've not worked in such an environment before, you may not know the times that you are supposed to be coming to work, let's put it that way. You may not have the office culture because it's a student culture. You can skip 2 or 3 classes and go to the last class and get somebody to help you quickly with the other works. It doesn't work like that in a work setting and an environment. So if you don't start learning that culture now, you realize by the time you finish university, you have not inculcated those skill sets. And if you don't have those skill sets and you start work, or even when you go for interviews, it will really, really become very, very clear that you are not ready for the environment you are in. One key thing I would say is, for anyone who goes for an application for a job, by the time they call you, 70% they believe that you can do the job for the interview, when they call you for the interview. 30% is not just to check your technical acumen, but also your relationships, how you deal with people. Can I get on with you? Can you get on with me? Can we sit in the same office and eat together? So these are skills that if you are not in such an environment, you don't get to learn it very well. So it's extremely important that such internships are done, and the working environment and how to collaborate with people you don't know, people you don't understand, and how you speak, your manners, all those things, and how you do work in a corporate environment is assessed and assessed very well. Once that is done, you become a full package. And you can enter into a role or a responsibility oozing that aura about you, because the person already feels that they know you already. And that's a skill that it doesn't come just by sitting in the classroom. It comes by interacting with people, interacting with colleagues, interacting with friends, interacting with people in a working environment. And that's a skill that you have to nurture and hone as you develop your skill set. So that will be my contribution. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mreku. With the submissions that have been given, we get to understand that it's super important that as students, we also take on these internship opportunities to get to know more about the companies. I believe we would also be having another panel discussion on internship opportunities. So students should get their notebooks and pens ready, even as we finish off this panel discussion for the next one. I have another question for my panel. I think go to Mark first. So, hello. What are the strategies that can be implemented to ensure that there are more partnerships between industries and students, or, sorry, academic institutions?
Hello. All right. As our brother from we said, like signing MOUs has been the usual approach. Now, with my brother on my left side saying, like, there are cases where they have research that they collaborate with academia to do. In doing such things, students are engaged in the things that are going on in the industries. So in such ways, we get those partnerships moving on. Now, there are some unfortunate situations where we get to have the partnership, we do the research, but at the end of the research, we don't use the people that worked on the research to continue the research. Those are challenges that come up with these partnerships. Or the person gets there and we get the person to the background, and the person wastes their time there. The person at the end has to leave the place and now has nowhere to go. And those are few challenges with the partnerships.
Okay, so then that draws another question. Why would one work with individuals, let's say students, and then realize that they have the right resources to support the company, and then along the line you go in for someone else?
Political reasons.
Political reasons. This one is interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay, there are times where companies also have limited resources to work with. So taking on board a new staff to undertake an assignment where you feel you have a resource within that can continue from where it started. That is mostly the main reason behind sometimes some of these decisions. Other than that, whenever research, someone starts a research, the person would be allowed to continue. Worst case scenario, probably the person might be given a contract to complete the research that the person has started. That is if the resources are available. So that is one thing that we have to keep in mind, that companies do not have infinite resources. They are also dealing with economics as well. And unfortunately, it affects some of the decisions that we take regarding graduate trainees or engineer trainees. But all in all, if we do some of these products, it will be fine. Another thing I want to add is there are times where students are given some assignments, some project topics to work on, which you know very well that this is a situation that exists in a particular industry. Let me bring my undergraduate project, for instance. I did a project on transmission line, referred to any staff from Gridco. I didn't visit any Gridco office, but I finished the project anyway. And it's not the best because there is no collaboration. And whatever I finished was just a theory. And as to whether it will work in a real scenario, nobody knows. So when students have assignments like these, works to be done in some of these areas, they can be introduced. The institution can lead them maybe with an introductory letter or a cover letter, so that they can pick some real data from the industry. And whilst they are going into the industry to pick up some of these data, gather the information, they also get to learn the work culture and prepare themselves for the work environment.
Thank you so much. Please, does any one of us have any contribution before we move to the next one? Okay, Mr. Apia.
Yeah, so if I got you right, you asked about some of the ways and strategies that academia can use to get more benefits and partnership from industries. Okay, so I would say that academia needs to build a relationship with industry. You see, industry and the businesses are oriented in such a way that they will not get up and come to the universities. Unfortunately, that is the situation. You know, let me just cite this example. So, Dr. Yao Boache, the head of department, petroleum and natural gas, yeah. So he came to my office, and then we began to engage. And then he expressed some of their challenges and the fact that they will want some of their students to have attachments, internships with our institution. Now, he kept on coming, and with time, a relationship was established. So myself, I took it as a need, okay, to also help him get there, escalate the issues to our bosses in head office. We need that relationship. Okay, so academia has to be able to move out there, come to the industry groups, the businesses, the CEOs, okay, have that engagement with them. There are also associations in the industry, okay, until you engage, you will not know the associations in the industry. For instance, we have the AOMC, we have the LPGMCs, we have the Chamber of Bulk Oil Consumers. All these associations are there. It is when you have engaged, okay, then someone could facilitate meeting with these people, and then you can express your needs. Oh, can I have on a periodic basis my department guys coming attachments, or probably internships, or having their service in your companies? We need that engagement. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the industries to come to you. Unfortunately, that's the orientation right now. So I would just urge that the universities that a move towards having a certain cordial relationship with the owners and, let's say, those in charge of these businesses, and that would help a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Apia. So you don't always have to wait for the companies to come to you. If you also need them, you have to get there. If you need answers to questions, you don't wait for the answers to come to you, but then you make the move, and then you get. Hello? All right, so we take the submission from Mr. Miracle.
Thank you very much. So, as my other colleagues have said, it's really, really important. I think UNE has done fantastically well on this one.
Oh, let's give it up for UNE.
From our company's perspective, they've engaged. They are right at the top level, making discussions with our CEO. And because of that, they've been given the necessary space to be able to work with us and been involved in a lot of research that we are doing at the moment. And your team also come in and support in key things. I would say we have to make your team useful in terms of if you come on an internship and you find a problem, it's good for that to be communicated. Oh, maybe I can do this and do this to support the process. That is how every university would be able to pull most working environment to do something about it. Because if you come in and you find a problem and you bring a solution, maybe analyze cost-effective solutions, it will be much, much easier for a CEO of a company, a manager of a company to take that on board, look at your report and say, my CEO, can you have a look at this? This is coming from somebody, a student, an intern, and it's also good for looking at things outside the box. When you are in an industry, you think, okay, this is the way we do things all the time. But if somebody comes in fresh from school with excellent knowledge, thinking outside the box, they can bring out good ideas. So I would say everywhere you get yourself into, make yourself useful. It could end up in a job. It could end up in an extra internship. It could end up in maybe a gift for a thing that you did. I remember when I was doing my intern years ago, I had to design a proper pharmaceutical slip drug packaging. And actually, once I did it, although I wasn't a staff, I was given a check for being able to contribute to the company and to actually save the company money. And these are some of the recognitions that when it's done and it's done right, you may get those recognitions that you deserve. Thank you.
Okay, please let's give him a round of applause. I'd like to chip this in. When he mentioned recognition, it is important, or it is true that we move out there to also gain recognition. But if you are moving into the industries and then all you are looking at is the glory, sometimes it doesn't help. So if you are thinking that I'm always going to get tips, like what he said, that he did well and then he was given a check, if that is your main motive and that's all, then I don't think that's going to help. So we have to go all out, do our very best wherever we find ourselves. We are going to take one last question, and then we take, I believe students also have questions. Do you have questions? Okay, please, Engineer Samuel also wants to give a contribution. Joe, could you please give the microphone to him?
Okay, thank you. Just to add up to what my senior colleagues have said, recently I happened to receive interns from UNE. They are graduate students. And what I want to say is it's been good, and they are also benefiting. And one thing I also want to add is sometimes you need to have an appropriate way of looking for information. Recently, one of my schoolmates, he is doing his PhD at Sunyani Technical University. He needed some information about energy consumption. And he was finding it difficult to get it. He's doing it at a school of mines. And he called me, since I'm with Greco, can you provide me? In fact, it will be very easy for me to provide because I am in control. We monitor the load flow. But such information, you need to go through appropriate channel. So I told him, since you are doing PhD, write to your VC and your VC to our chief executive so that such information can be provided. So sometimes you need to make contact with colleagues and friends. I believe all of you have friends in various institutions. Call us so that we can give you proper information, so that if you are looking for information, you will definitely get it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Samuel. We can do it better for him. Let's give him a round of applause. Okay, Engineer Alberta also has a contribution.
I just want to add a little to what Engineer Wachi said. And please, when you have the opportunity to go on internship, try and develop that personal relationship. I remember I've worked with a couple of students from UNE, and I have developed that relationship with them such that even when they come back to school and they are having challenges with their assignments, they fall on me for help. Because we are in the industry, we are able to give explanation and make the thing so practical to you. So take advantage. That is one way of collaborating. So develop that relationship with the people you work with when you go on internship, and they are ready to also assist you understand your courses better.
Thank you so much, Ma. So we have to take advantage of this career fair get to network with the resource persons that we have from the various companies around. My next question is, how can the industries, the companies, and the academic institutions collaborate to drive sustainable... Hello? Today the microphone is proving to me that I'm doing electrical and then I have to make sure things are in check when I come here. All right, please, are my electrical engineering students? Oh, please give me a wave. Electrical. Mwamba. All right, that's great. Okay, so my question is, how can the institutions, the companies and then the institutions collaborate to be able to drive sustainable economic growth of the company at large? Do we have someone taking it up? The first person.
I'll take it.
Okay.
So I think especially for us who are in Agrico, and we need to be more, we need to engage more. For sustainable development, for us to have a clear plan and structure for the entire energy sector, let's put it that way, so that it makes it then easier that we are all moving in the same direction. I know we're going to talk about different topics on renewables and various things in our second panel discussion, but once the country decides on its plan and structure, as various different industries in the energy sector or various different companies, that should be our goal. That should be our first bullet point. And then we should break that down and take responsibility individually as various different companies, and how we will be able to make sure that that sustainable development goal is achieved. I remember about 5 years ago, there was a project where we're looking at, or the country was looking at by, I think, 2030, for 10% renewable energy. But yes, it's a statement made. Whether the backup, the infrastructure, various different things that has to go with it, whether we are all in line, maybe we are, maybe we are not. But as long as we are able to collaborate fully, it will actually benefit us as making sure that sustainable development is well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, let's give him a round of applause. I believe a different question was derived from the question I actually asked. So we will discuss this, and then afterwards I get back to the question. So, Mr. Wuku, up to you.
Yes, just to Mr. Meriku said, regarding some subjects like renewable energy, there are lots of schools of thoughts that we can improve the efficiency of the panels that we are installing, because land areas for renewable or solar PV installation, land availability is also a challenge. So in an area like this, the academia can come in and try to research on what other most efficient panels are available, what solutions can we provide to some of these industries, and then take it on as projects for some students to embark on. I believe when they do this and probably they're able to come up with a research paper, with a proposal document, that would also give a very big boost to the students who are involved, and they may get an opportunity to work with some of the planning departments of some of these institutions, like the ministry, the Energy Commission, as well as the power generation companies themselves, like BPA, ECG, who are also into renewable projects. So we should always fish out for what the industries want to do differently, what their market share, what their vision is, where they would want to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And then the academia can also start preparing their students to meet the needs of these industries going forward.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I believe the points raised currently was on attainment of sustainable development goals. But my question was how the collaboration between the academic institutions and the companies would help us attain sustainable economic growth of the country at large. Economic growth.
Well, I believe that if the same answers could just be changed or rephrased to be answers to the question that you just asked. Because at the end of the day, if the sustainable goals are met, definitely are going to create job opportunities for our young graduates, and when they are employed, their economic powers will be enhanced, and definitely that will lead to the economic growth of the nation.
Thank you so much, Engineer Alberta. I think Mark also has a contribution to make.
Okay, so with how things have been and with how I have seen things, usually it's been like, okay, let me go get a job. So we are looking at things that are already existing. So with collaborations and with research, as my senior suggested, we come up with new ideas. Now, these ideas is possible to foster existing companies to create new areas or sections. Like you said, we have associations within the companies that will deal with such things. So the job opportunities might not even come from the company, but through your research, such things can happen. But for things to be sustainable, usually it deals with maintenance culture. Most of our collaborations with the academia doesn't really have a maintenance culture. It's like we've made an agreement, come in. At this time we need interns, at this time we need national service personnel. They just bring them, they go. They bring them, they go. If it happens like, okay, a group of students sent did not perform well, and therefore a company has to make a decision on, okay, let's think again about this thing. Like, there's no real communication between the company and the academia on like, okay, this thing happened, so how do we now restructure how we select people for this thing, or we do that. Now, these things all go together to affect our collaborations. Now, these collaborations help in terms of economical growth in the sense that if we have to do research, like Kofi Annan ICT Center, it's a government institution. Usually, government institutions have issues of funds and other things, right? But we know, like, students doing projects, they have to invest in their projects. So, okay, assume we have a partnership, which we do have, with the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Then, okay, we are working on this project. Can you assist? Then students get on board. Okay, we are working on this. This student takes this part, this student takes this part. By the time we are done, we have achieved the goal of the company. The students have learned something that is practical in the real world. And we still did not spend that much on the work. So the government doesn't have to invest too much in our work, although we are a government company, and we get our work done. So the economy gets to grow. That's how it gets.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mark. We'll take the contribution from Mr. Apia. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So if we are talking about academia partnering industries for economic growth, we can't leave out the policymakers. Okay, because everything that we do is influenced and driven by the policymakers. So we're talking about energy transition. Okay, now, have we looked at the energy transition plan, the Ministry of Energy? Do we know the plan, the low, the medium, and the long-term plan, what it says? It should be influencing how we do things. So if you look at the document, it's talking about net zero carbon emissions, 2030, 40, and it spans up to 2070. Okay, so industry and academia have to meet, engage the policymakers, and see how they can also fit in. Otherwise, we will be thinking along a different line, and then the policymakers will also be shaping how we do things. At the end of the day, whatever we do is controlled by policy. Okay, so that's also one point. Another thing we have to look at is funding. You see, we are talking about research, but it's funding. What I have not observed is a particular industry having some fund set up, okay, to support a specific industry application. For instance, in the Western world, you realize that for the automotive industry, maybe Tesla will have a fund to support probably MIT students who want to develop something in automotive area to help them. Okay, so we have the depot operator, tank farm operators, oil marketing companies, Ghana Gas. Is there any fund that has been set up for graduates who have skills or knowledge in that area to tap into if they need support, or even the departments? There is nothing like that. Can we come together and contribute a peswa each? If you take maybe the Association of Ghana Industry, they have a lot of members. Can we have something set up? You see, because without funding, you cannot go anywhere. And then we rely on the foreign donors to support us, and they will also direct us the way they want things to go. So we have to begin to look within ourselves, the businesses, the companies, the industries. Let's agree on setting up a certain fund in each area that we want to see more developments on, so that academia can tap in to support their research work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe our panelists have given us a lot of insight into the necessity of having a collaboration between the industries and the academic institutions. One more time, I want us to give our panelists a beautiful round of applause. We have a few minutes left, and we would like to take questions. Hello. So we would like to take some questions from students. Anyone with a question? Okay. Could we please get one of the ushers to send the microphones? All right, so we have a young man at the back. Please hand it over to him first. No, the one here. I like the way you tested a microphone.
Yeah. I'm Augustine Awekia, Electrical Engineering 400. My question goes to the rep for Bui Power Authority. And, you know, the population of Ghana increases, and as population increases, the demand for power increases. And per the analysis, by 2030, the total demand for energy demand for Ghana will outnumber our total installed capacity for the country currently. So my question is, what design proposals and research areas do you recommend to the graduate engineer as well as the future engineers to match up with the future demand of the country? Thank you.
That's a good one there. So, okay, so we take the next question. We take 3 questions, then afterwards we give the responses, and then move to the next set of questions. Okay. Yeah, Dom is going to give us a question.
Hello, I'm Amponsa Nokafum, doing renewable energy engineering, level 400. Student partnership with industries are very important. But here's the case: if a student has a $1 million solution to the petroleum sector, and the student does not trust governmental companies, because he thinks that when you offer that solution to governmental companies, they will steal it and not recognize that student. So how can that challenge be solved? So that the student will not enter into the private, setting up his own company.
All right, thank you. Do we have a lady with a question? I'm not being biased, but I think at least 2 questions from... We need to get a lady. Any young woman with a question? Oh, you're disappointing me. All right, so is there someone? All right, so you just hand the microphone over to the young man.
Okay. I just want to add something to what our bosses said about how to improve the developmental growth in the country.
Okay.
You see, in the academia, when we have the chance to go to the industry to work as maybe national service and whatever, you see, since they are higher position, they don't want to listen to our contribution. Yeah. So what I have for them that when we come, they should, cooperate with us. The socialization should be more. Like, they should see that we are all equal.
Hey, now what baby will be an engineer? You?
No, I'm not. No. They should that we are all equal, so that they should listen to whatever we have for them. Because we students have a lot of things in our head which we want to bring out. You get it? So when they come down and listen to whatever we have for them, I think that thing can to improve us to what do you call it? Yeah.
Great contribution. Please, we need a question. Could you please move to this side? Okay, Miss Glory.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Gloria Kokolanyo, a final year mechanical engineering student. I believe you spoke about by 2030, the country increasing in renewable engineering by 10%. So my question is, if that is the goal of the energy sector, or if that's the goal of the country, would it not be wise if the energy sector, or the men or the people in front of the energy sector, to talk to governments to rather invest more into renewables than focusing on biomass or focusing on non-renewable sector things? So that in the end, we'll be able to get people who have ideas, because I believe that the students learning renewable energy engineering stuff, that they will be able to invest or will be able to contribute well for it to grow and become something that is visible to everyone.
All right, Ms. Gloria, thank you for your question. So I believe we are going to take the response. And please, can we have some silence in the house? Okay. We'll be taking the next set of questions, but we need the responses first. So afterwards, then we take the next 3 sets of questions.
Okay, so this is to respond to the first question that was asked. I think the last comments by Mr. Appiah, he indicated that we have policy makers, and policy makers use state agencies in setting out their goals and their plans for the country. So regarding our demand that we expect to, per the forecast, is going to grow beyond the installed capacity that we have now. That is why we have the Ministry of Energy working together with the Energy Commission and other state-owned institutions. Because as I said in my introduction, the time I was introducing the company, we're a company that was set up by an act of parliament. So we are a state-owned company. So on our own, we can't just decide that we are going to put up a thermal plant here, we are going to do maybe put up a 250 megawatts plant anywhere without consulting the policy makers. Before any company would establish a power generation plant in the country, be it gas, oil, hydro, or whatever, you need to be given license by the Energy Commission. You need to get the policy makers to endorse your plan. And the policy makers also have a plan that they go with. So what I would want you to do is, the information from Energy Commission, there's no secret in it, it's not confidential. If you go to the Energy Commission website, they've stated all this information is there. If you look at the energy reports for 2022, they've indicated a forecast where we expect our load or our demand to be, the plans which are in place to meet this one, and how all other industries, including VRA, BPA, ECG, how we can all contribute to meet that energy demand. So, as we've been saying in this career fair, don't limit yourself to your curricula. Now that you know all these other policymakers, all these industry players, get to read about what they do, what their plans are, and it may also inform the choice of institution you may work in. The work is not only limited to Ghana Gas, to BPA, to VRA. There are so many other areas where, as engineers, we can contribute to support the economy and keep the economy going. So I don't have that information in mind as I sit here, but I believe if you go to the Energy Commission website, the details is spelled out there, and you get all those details there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ewoku.